Check your Mexican coin collection immediately for the 1916 Oaxaca 60 pesos gold piece. While most collectors focus on American double eagles, this specific Mexican gold coin is currently valued at over $500,000 in high-grade condition. This is not a common bullion item. It is one of the most significant rarities in North American numismatics. Today, we are conducting a professional appraisal of the top Mexican coins that are worth a fortune, focusing strictly on the visual diagnostics you need to identify them and the current market valuations for each. 1916 Oaxaca 60 pesos gold. The 1916 Oaxaca 60 pesos is the absolute pinnacle of Mexican coin collecting. To identify this piece, you must first look at the obverse. It features a sharp, dignified profile of Benito Juarez. The diagnostic that separates a genuine specimen from a replica or a lesser denomination is the weight and the specific layout of the reverse. A genuine 60 pesos gold piece must weigh exactly 50 grams. If you possess a scale, this is your first test. When you turn the coin over to the reverse side, look at the scales of justice located inside the wreath. On the authentic 60 pesos, the balance beam must be perfectly horizontal. Even a slight tilt in the engraving of that beam can indicate a counterfeit or a different provincial issue. The valuation for this coin is staggering. In a professional grade of Mint State 62, this coin is worth approximately $350,000. If the coin reaches the elite tier of Mint State 64 or higher, the value climbs to over $600,000. Even a specimen with slight evidence of circulation, such as light wear on the hair of Benito Juarez, will still command a price of $175,000. These coins were minted during a period of extreme civil unrest, when the state of Oaxaca declared itself independent from the Mexican central government. Because they were produced in a provisional mint under revolutionary conditions, the survival rate of high-quality pieces is nearly zero. If you find one that still possesses its original mint luster, that satiny, swirling glow that appears when you rotate the coin under a single light source, you are holding a generational asset. 1911 Short Ray Caballito Peso. The 1911 Caballito Silver Peso is often called the most beautiful coin in Mexican history. But there is one variety that is worth a massive premium over the standard issue. You are looking for the 1911 Short Ray. To identify this error, you need a 10-power magnification loupe. Turn the coin to the reverse, where the horse and rider are depicted in front of a rising sun. Look at the lower left portion of the sun's rays, specifically at the 7 o'clock position. On a standard 1911 peso, all the rays are long and reach toward the rim. On the rare variety, there is one specific ray that is truncated. It stops abruptly, leaving a noticeable gap between the end of the line and the border of the coin. The value of a standard 1911 Caballito in uncirculated condition is roughly $150. However, the short ray variety in a grade of Mint State 65 is worth approximately $12,500. Even in an average uncirculated grade like Mint State 62, the short ray variety will bring $3,500 at auction. The diagnostic is purely in that one ray. This error occurred because the original die was damaged, and when the mint employees attempted to polish the die to remove the clash marks, they inadvertently polished away the end of that specific ray. It is a classic transitional error that most people miss because they are too distracted by the beauty of the horse and rider. If you have a jar of silver pesos, pull out every 1911 dated coin and check that lower left ray immediately. 1823 Hookneck 8 Reales. The 1823 Hookneck Peso is the first silver coin of the Mexican Republic, and it is highly sought after because of its unique design. To identify this coin, look at the eagle on the obverse. Unlike modern Mexican coins where the eagle is seen from the side, the hook neck features an eagle with a very long, curved neck that gives it its name. The eagle is perched on a cactus, but the neck curves downward in a sharp, hook-like fashion. You must look for the 1823 date specifically, as this was the first year of production at the Mexico City Mint. The valuation for a high-grade 1823 hookneck is exceptional. A specimen graded as Mint State 64 recently sold for $85,000. In lower, extremely fine 45 condition, the coin is still worth $5,000. The tell for the highest value is the detail in the cactus leaves. Look at the prickly pear fruit on the cactus. If the small dots representing the thorns are crisp and visible, the coin has not been worn down and will qualify for a Mint State grade. If those dots are smoothed over, the value drops significantly. 1732 Pillar 8 Reales. The 1732 pillar dollar, or columnario, is a coin that shaped global trade. But the 1732 date from the Mexico City Mint is a six-figure treasure. To identify an authentic 1732 pillar dollar, you must look for the Mo mint mark on the reverse side between the two pillars. The most important diagnostic for the 1732 rarity is the crown on the pillars. On the 1732 issue, the crowns are often described as royal crowns, rather than the imperial crowns seen on later dates. Look at the detail of the globes between the pillars. They should show a very clear map of the Old World and the New World. A genuine 1732 Pillar 8 Reales in Mint State 63 is worth approximately $120,000. Even in a lower, fine condition, where much of the detail is lost but the date is still clear, the coin is worth $6,000. The reason for this value is that 1732 was the very first year that the Mexico City Mint used a screw press to produce coins with a protective milled edge. Before this, coins were hand-struck and irregular. Finding a 1732 that is perfectly round and has a crisp, floral design on the edge is the goal. If the edge of your 1732 coin is plain or looks filed down, it is likely a modern cast counterfeit. 1914 Muera Huerta Peso. The 1914 Muera Huerta silver peso is one of the most famous coins in the world because it is the only coin known to carry a death threat. Minted in Durango during the Revolution, the reverse side clearly states Muera Huerta, or Death to Huerta. The market value for a 1914 Muera Huerta in Mint State 62 is approximately $6,500. If you find one in Mint State 64, the value jumps to $15,000. These coins are often found in poor condition because they were buried in the ground to hide them from Huerta's soldiers. If you find one that is bright, silver, and shows no signs of environmental damage or pitting from being in the soil, you have a top-tier rarity. The diagnostic for authenticity is the die crack that often runs through the letter M in Muera. Because these were struck with improvised equipment, the dies often broke. A specific die crack is actually a mark of a genuine revolutionary coin rather than a modern fake. 1915 Oaxaca. 2 centavos, large bust. While we often focus on gold and silver, certain copper coins from the Mexican Revolution are worth thousands of dollars. Look through your old copper centavos for the 1915 Oaxaca 2 centavos. You are specifically looking for the large bust variety. To identify this, look at the portrait of Benito Juarez. On the common version, his head is small and centered. On the rare large bust variety, the head of Juarez is much larger, almost touching the lettering at the top of the coin. The most critical diagnostic is the hairline. On the rare variety, the hair is much more textured and detailed than the flat, smooth hair on the common issue. A 1915 large bust 2 centavos in a grade of Mint State 64 red and brown is worth approximately $4,000. In a perfect Mint State 66, it has been known to reach $8,000. Most of these were struck on poor quality copper planchets, so finding one that has not turned completely black or suffered from bronze disease is very difficult. If your coin still shows a hint of original orange copper color, do not touch it with your bare hands. 1921 5 pesos gold straight date. The 1921 5 pesos gold coin is a common date, but there is an extremely rare straight date variety that carries a massive premium. To identify this, look at the date 1921 on the obverse. On the common variety, the numbers follow the curve of the coin's rim. On the rare straight date variety, the numbers 1, 9, 2, 1 are arranged in a perfectly horizontal line, ignoring the curve of the border. This is a subtle diagnostic, but it is the difference between a coin worth $300 and a coin worth $20,000. An uncirculated 1921 straight-date gold 5 pesos is valued at $22,000 in Mint State 64. Because this was a die variety produced in very small numbers before the error was corrected, most collectors have no idea it exists. They see a 1921 gold coin and assume it is just worth the gold content. You must look at the alignment of the number 2 in the date. If the base of the 2 is parallel to the bottom of the 1, it is the rare variety. If the 2 is tilted to follow the circle of the coin, it is the common version. 1811 Morelos SUD 8 reales copper. The 1811 Morelos Sud piece is a cornerstone of the Mexican War of Independence. This coin was issued by the revolutionary leader José María Morelos and was technically a promise to pay in silver later. To identify the high-value 1811 copper version, look at the Sud lettering on the reverse. The letters should be bold and crude. The diagnostic for the highest value is the presence of a counterstamp. Look for a small, circular indentation that has been struck into the coin after it was made. These counterstamps were used by different revolutionary generals to validate the currency in their specific territories. An 1811 Morelos Sud, 8 reales in copper, with a rare Zongolica, or Orizaba, counterstamp, is worth approximately $15,000 in very fine condition. Without the counterstamp, the coin is still worth about $1,500. The valuation depends entirely on the clarity of the bow and arrow design on the obverse. If you can see the string of the bow and the feathers on the arrow, the coin is in a high enough grade to command the 5-figure price tag. Most of these are found very worn, looking like flat copper discs. If yours has any remaining detail, it is a significant find. 1921 50 pesos gold, first year. The 1921 50 pesos gold coin, known as the Centenario, is one of the most famous gold coins in the world. While many were restruck in later years, the original 1921 date is the one you want. To identify an original 1921 strike from a common restrike, look at the date on the left side of the winged victory statue. It should say 1821 on the left and 1921 on the right. The diagnostic for the original is the flatness of the wings. On original 1921 strikes, the feathers in the wings of the statue are less deeply engraved than on the later 1947 restrikes. Also, look at the mint mark Mo. On the 1921 original, the O is very small and sits high. An original 1921 Centenario in Mint State 65 is worth approximately $15,000. A common restrike, by comparison, is worth about $2,500, depending on the spot price of gold. The value here is in the historical significance of the first year of issue. Because 1921 was the centennial of Mexican independence, these coins were handled with care, but many were lost during the subsequent economic shifts. If you have a 50 pesos gold coin, do not assume it is a common restrike until you have checked the date and the wing detail under magnification. 1950 Railroad 5 pesos. Moving into more modern issues, the 1950 Railroad 5 pesos is a silver coin that commemorates the completion of the Southern Railroad. While many of these are common, there is a specific double die error on the reverse. Look at the palm trees behind the train. On the rare error variety, there is clear doubling on the leaves of the trees and on the numbers of the date 1950. You will see a shadow effect, where the numbers appear to be struck twice, slightly offset. A standard 1950 Railroad peso is worth about $40. However, a high-grade double die version in mint state 66 is worth approximately $2,500. The tell is the clarity of the doubling. It is most prominent on the zero of the 1950. If the inside of the zero looks like it has a second oval inside it, you have found the error. This is a very popular coin for collectors of train coins and error coins alike. And because it is a relatively modern silver coin, many are still sitting in jars of Mexican change in the United States. 1824 8 reales, Durango Mint. The 1824 8 reales from the Durango Mint is another high-value silver piece. To identify this, look for the D or DO mint mark. The 1824 date is particularly rare because the Durango Mint was struggling with equipment during this year. The diagnostic to look for is the overdate. Look closely at the 4 in 1824. On the most valuable variety, you will see the remains of a 3 underneath the 4. This 4/3 overdate is a major rarity. A 1824/3 Durango 8 reales in mint state 62 is worth approximately $12,000. Even in a lower grade of fine 15, it is worth $800. The key to the valuation is the cap and raise on the reverse. Look at the Liberty cap. If the word Libertad is fully legible and sharp, the coin is in high demand. On most Durango strikes, the word is blurry or completely missing. If yours is sharp and shows the overdate, you have a museum-quality piece. 1905 Gold 5 pesos straight date. Similar to the 1921 gold coin, the 1905 5 pesos gold piece has a straight date variety that is extremely rare. To identify it, look at the date on the obverse. The standard 1905 date follows the curve of the coin. The rare variety has the 1905 in a perfectly straight line. This was the first year that Mexico adopted the gold standard, and these early varieties were experimental. A 1905 straight-date gold 5 pesos in mint state 64 is worth approximately $18,000. The tell for this coin is the spacing between the 9 and the 0. On the rare variety, the spacing is slightly wider than on the curved date. Collectors of the Reform era of Mexican coinage view this as a key date for any serious collection. Always verify the weight. A 5 pesos gold coin should weigh exactly 4.16 grams. This is Coin Expert USA. Let's discover what's in your pocket.